Man, I know I'm probably beating a dead horse with this, but I swear this is a problem. I've been trying to discuss this topic with other people on different channels, and I feel like nobody has really considered what I'm saying. Maybe the chat's been going down too fast. So, what better way than to discuss it on my channel? I feel like it really needs to be heard. There's a real problem in the industry of asymmetrical horror games. I know I can't be the only one that feels this way, but I have not seen other people talk about it. I'm sure a lot of people just ignore it and move on with it, but something isn't right. I've been playing asymmetrical horror games since 2017, and we've had quite a few pop up since then, and we've had quite a few die and drop off the face of the earth. We've had Friday the 13th, Dead by Daylight, Killer Clowns, TCM. That's just a list of a few games. Those are some of the bigger known titles, but there are just a lot more. There are a lot more down the pipeline that we've had, and a lot of them have died and just dropped. If we have that many games being released, that would be a good thing for the industry, right? That means asymmetrical horror games are doing great. Yes, yes, that's true, but also no. What have we seen over the years of these games since 2017, 2016, since the beginning? Actually, you can think back and Evolve when that game came out. That's considered one of the first asymmetrical horror games. But what have we seen since the release of these games? I can tell you one thing I've noticed: the longevity of these games have not lasted, other than Dead by Daylight. They'll be out for like 2 years, maybe a few more, and then drop content. Now, the servers will still be live, there'll be a dedicated community, but no more continued content. Just a couple games listed by the same creators, Gun Interactive. We have Friday the 13th, the game, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the game. Just around the 2 year mark, they've stopped making content for the game. Now, I don't necessarily think that is their fault. I do think the way it was handled on TCM's part was a little bit shitty, but I don't necessarily blame Gun Interactive for them just halting content. Now, TCM's a little bit different. Friday the 13th was not their fault, but we also have Predator Hunting Grounds. That game was dead for a long time, and yeah, thankfully it was revived because Ilphonic didn't give up on it because they realize they like keeping the games alive for their community that plays their games, and that's awesome. Evil Dead the game is another over 2 years, and it is done for as well, and you can't even buy the game anymore. Have you caught on to the little hint that I've been dropping here? What is making these games die? For one, all the games that are dying, most of them, they're all licensed IP. Every single one of these games I've listed are based off of a horror movie that we love. These games are specially crafted to look like the horror films that we know and love so we can live in that world and experience it, which is awesome. I love that. But I cannot say that that is hindering the game for longevity. I mean, it really is hindering it. I'm going to go ahead and drop the bomb here and point out the game that has outlived all of them. I've said it twice already. Dead by Daylight came out in 2016, and it is still thriving today. Why? Because it's an original IP. Dead by Daylight is the perfect example of how to make an asymmetrical horror game. They created a unique gameplay experience with lore that you can discover, and once you start getting into the lore, it makes perfect sense why they can add licensed IP and original IP, because this entity is going into different dimensions basically and sucking these things into the fog and using them for a hunting ground type game, almost like Predator Hunting Grounds. The entity is bringing in these predators and killers and using them for a game. And I think that's so impressive. It's on its 9 year anniversary, and they have over 40 characters on the survivor side and the killer side, I believe. I believe both sides have over 40 characters that are mixed with original and licensed IP. And how did they do this? How in the world did it outlive the games that we want to play, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Friday the 13th? Why is this little original asymmetrical horror game outliving it? They had a vision. They buckled down on that original story and lore. And once they built up a little bit following, they invested in licensed IP. I think the first one was Michael Myers. Huge hitter right there. I mean, they went with Michael Myers, Freddy, Saw, Stranger Things, all these different chapters they released are licensed IP, and it makes perfect sense to have them in the game based on the lore they created. I mean, if you really think about it, the possibilities are endless. Like we've been hearing, they could technically add Darth Vader to the freaking game and it make perfect sense to have in the game. It is just mind blowing all the different things they could do with this game. They could add freaking Fortnite characters or anything really, and it would make perfect sense because that's what the entity does. Now let's go ahead and compare that to the other games that have failed. One of my favorites, Friday the 13th, the game, was a super fun asymmetrical game. It was a lot of fun. We all loved it. We made friends based on this game, and it just halted. It just stopped. Gun Interactive could not make any more content based on the game. Why? Well, because the rights holders went through a lawsuit and they were forced to stop making content on the game. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the game, they had the rights to the first film only. Therefore, we could only play around the time period of the first film. There's only so much they can do with it, and they were forced to keep the realism based from the 1974 film, which means you can't do any unique skins or anything crazy because they're hindered to what they have to work with. Now, looking back at these asymmetrical horror games based on these movies, I will say, as a business standpoint, it is a quick bag for the company because they know horror fans like us are going to buy this game. We're going to be buying skins and we're going to be playing it as much as we can until it drops off. Now, I don't know if that's their plan is to get a quick buck and then move on to the next licensed LP or IP, but that's what it looks like to me. I mean, that is literally the first thought, especially once TCM announced that they were going to stop production and then they're like, hey guys, stay tuned, we got another one. I'm just like, wow, 2 years and I've spent all this money and nothing really to show for it anymore. It's just gone. I mean, it's not necessarily gone, but it might as well be because it takes like 5 to 10 minutes to get into a freaking game. It's a freaking mess over there. Now, I don't know if that's Gun Interactive's fault or any of these companies' fault, but that's what it looks like as a consumer. Because as a consumer, we are throwing them our money. We're throwing them the dollars. We're buying these skins, these kill packs, so we can live like we are in the movie, and then it just drops off. It sucks. When you are working with an IP, you can only work within the limits of the license that you're working with, which really hinders it because you can only do so much. I mean, yeah, Friday the 13th had all the Friday the 13th films, and they were going to keep going with Jason X and having the Lazarus and all that, but they didn't get to keep doing that. But the Texas Chainsaw Massacre being based, yeah, they could technically buy a license for the second game and be able to add that because they do have the rights to all the Leatherfaces, and I would assume that if they wanted to, they could have added every Leatherface to the game. It just hinders the gameplay experience compared to Dead by Daylight. And there are some other original IPs that I will list down toward the end of this video that I think if it's made right, then it could blow up and be massive just like Dead by Daylight. I just hate that these games are constrained to their respective IP. It makes it harder to keep producing content because they have to stay within that time period and all that. It just sucks compared to making an original world and having endless possibilities to add people to different it you know what I'm talking about. I'm beating a dead horse. I'm repeating myself over and over again. I really do think that's the problem with all this though. It's something that's been on my mind for a while, way before TCM dropped. I was just like, man, I've noticed a lot of these just dropping off really fast. And I don't know if people care about it. Maybe they don't. Maybe I'm the only one that cares. It's just really sad to see. I just see a lot of people complaining about why these games aren't succeeding the way they could, because I think asymmetrical horror is one of the best genres of games. It's so much fun to just kick back and goof off with your friends. And here recently, I've only been doing that on Dead by Daylight. And it's sad because a lot of people hate on Dead by Daylight, and I don't know if it's because it's so successful and they're like, oh, screw that, man. There's no way this game is that good. But you make a game with a simple gameplay loop that's addicting, it's an easy win. And it's an easy win for the player because it's been 9 years and still going so strong. I have every single chapter that I've bought from 9 years ago to now, and I still have them. Yeah, there's a little bit of issues where they don't have the rights to Hellraiser anymore, so you can't buy Hellraiser. The game's still thriving. That's the thing. And, you know, if they wanted to get that, renew that license, they could. Thankfully, I see a few original games coming out that give me a little bit of hope. We have Summer Camp, which is a spiritual successor to Friday the 13th, the game, but it's not Friday the 13th, the game. It's Summer Camp. It is basically Friday the 13th, the game, but it's an original title that they could really, if they wanted to, if they went all out on it and it succeeds, they could just blow it out of the water. Because I think the summer camp vibe, Friday the 13th, the game, is such a fun game. So, it being an original IP, they could technically add as many killers as they wanted. And if they invested correctly and gave people what I mean, literally, if it's such a small game, who's to say they could possibly get rights to Victor Crowley from Hatchet. We have Fear the Reaper. We have some other games down the line too, but those are two that I've been really keeping an eye on here lately, especially keeping up with Slash and Cast. They have been talking a lot about those games, and I'm really excited for Summer Camp. I really hope that works out. Fear the Reaper looks really cool, but I literally have $2 and no gaming PC, so I'll never get to play it. But I mean, I'm rooting for this genre. I love this genre so much. I really am just trying to point out what could be the issues there, and this is my honest opinion. I think being tied down to a licensed IP is what is hurting hurting the industry of these games. I think if they made an original IP and bought the characters from the licensed movies and stuff, I think that's a better route to go. Also, Gun Interactive apparently is doing Scout Dracula, which we don't really know what the heck that is. I hope it's good. You know, I hope it is really good. It may not even be a game. Who knows what they're doing? But I really hope. I love Gun Interactive. I really like the people over there. I've talked to a few of them. I've met Wes. They all seem like genuine people. I just hope they make the right decisions and give us a product that we can play for longer than 2 years. You know what I'm saying? What do you all think about this? Do you all agree with me? Do you all think it could be other reasons? Let me know down in the comments below. Please drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot. And until next time, guys, take it easy, bubs.